Yeah, it's about 45. I've got about 45 minutes to go. I've got about 45 minutes to go before I clock in for work and probably get some breakfast in just a little bit. But, I was listening to Jason Solomonster sounds off, and what he had to say about the whole Jinder Mahal situation. Now, I can understand how some people feel and about what's going on here with Jinder, and how the fact that basically how the fact that he came from basically being jobbed out all the time to now being in the main event. And Jason, I don't know if you'll listen to this, but I know you were, you kind of said when you did a review, you didn't just do a review, but when you did your take on it, when you did your take on the whole situation, you basically said that you hoped Jinder becomes champion, even though you believe it won't happen. And that's a good, legitimate, point to look at. Like, let's hope, somebody else gets the belt like Jinder. Let him have it for maybe a couple months, and then he drops it. And that'd be great and everything. That would be absolutely great. But you said it's not going to happen because you feel all Jinder is there, just like everybody else feels the same way. Jinder is just there as filler. In other words, he's just there for somebody, for basically Randy to have somebody to go up against while they get him ready for either Corbin, Styles, or Owens. And I don't blame you for kind of feeling that way. I really don't. I don't blame anybody else for feeling that way, but I don't think, honestly, that's going to happen. I really don't. I think what's going to happen, believe it or not, is they're going to give the belt to Jinder. Now you might say, and you'll probably mention this on your podcast this weekend, that Jinder stealing the championship and driving off with it on SmackDown Live on Tuesday is just another indication he's not going to win. And that might be true. But then again, it could be an indication. Because you see, they have done this before. WWE and other wrestling promotions have done this before. And just when you think, okay, that's probably the only way an antagonist is going to get to the championship and then not end up winning it, then end up not winning it, in the end, that promotion, whether it's WWE or Impact Wrestling or whoever, Ring of Honor, they end up surprising you by having that antagonist, that villain, that heel, end up winning the championship. So to me, I have to counter the fact that even though you don't believe Jinder Mahal is going to win the championship, I think he is. I legitimately think Jinder Mahal is going to become champion. Here's why. You are one of the major people online, one of the major wrestling podcasters that have come out and said that Randy Orton is boring. Just flat out said he's boring as champion, that he hasn't had no real direction now that he has the belt for the 13th time. And that might be true. He might not have any real, he may not have any real direction in your eyes as champion. And that mainly may be because of the fact that he's held it 13 times. He's been on top 13 times. It's like, what do you do with him? What do you do with him? Because now we are in a time and age where fans want champions that are interesting, that are unpredictable, that basically you as a writer and a booker have to come up creatively with ways to make them intriguing, make them interesting. And I think, honestly, that's the problem. Hold on for a sec. But like I said, that's the one thing a lot of people look at is, they want a champion that they feel writers and bookers would have to find creative and intriguing ways to make interesting, and yet they have not been able to do that, which is why they always rely on people like Randy or like Orton or Cena to carry the title, because it's like, who else are you going to get? And I think, again, that's why a lot of people like yourself, Solomonster, Jason, you feel that Randy's just not doing it anymore as champion. He just doesn't have that it factor anymore. And that might be true. That indeed might be true. The reason I believe, Jason, and I could be wrong, I'm not going to say I'm going to be right, but the reason I believe Jinder Mahal might be given the championship, even if it's for a few months, is because this way you can launch Randy into something else. You keep him away from the championship, and you launch him into a program with somebody else, like a Baron Corbin, or even a Kevin Owens. Because here's something, Owens is supposed to be U.S. champion for a while, right? Why not launch Randy into a feud with Owens over the United States title, a championship that Randy has never held? Thus, you make Randy a grand champion. There's a story element right there. Thus, you keep Randy away from the WWE championship for a little while, and then you use Jinder as your new champion to build a new rivalry, a new main event feud with for your brand. And to me, you could look at either someone like a Sami Zayn or an AJ Styles, and that could work. I know you might think, well, that's not going to work. I know you're thinking that may not work or anything, but you never know. Because to me, I look at the fact that if you have, AJ Styles against Jinder Mahal, you have a good American boy, if you will, in AJ fighting the anti-American, Canadian, anti-American heel who's Canadian but is portrayed as Islam or as Arabian or you can Middle Eastern, let's put it that way. So you have that feud, you have a logical feud there. Same with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn could have the story of, hey, I want redemption over this guy that basically cheated his way to the title, cheated his way to become champion. I want redemption for him and his boys screwing me out of that championship match, and that could work. To me, that could actually work. So you have two big elements storyline-wise to work with by putting the WWE Championship on Jinder Mahal. And again, you may not agree with it, and that's fine, but I think, honestly, WWE I believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, will do this. Because you got to look at how things kind of align, if you will. Look at how things align. You have, it's SmackDown. This is SmackDown, same as it was 13 years ago. You have a mid-card talent who was mostly a jobber, didn't really have no direction for a while. Now all of a sudden, he's thrust into the main event and for the championship. And of course, nobody thinks at first he's going to become champion. At first, nobody thinks he's going to become champion 13 years ago, and that being JBL against Eddie Guerrero. And yet, what happens? JBL becomes champion. And again, here's a guy that didn't have no direction after a while. Especially even with the APA, didn't have no real direction except tag team titles. And now all of a sudden, here he was, little less than a few months after Mania, becoming champion over a guy that people thought he shouldn't beat, but yet he did. And look at the run he went on with that championship. Because you kept wanting to see someone take it away from him. The same with Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal is in a similar situation to where he could end up benefiting from the same thing that JBL did. And JBL that JBL did. And Jinder, by benefiting from the same situation, similar situation, could, really catapult himself into a high-profile feud and rivalry with someone to where he could drop the belt. He doesn't have to hold it as long as JBL did, but he could drop it maybe at SummerSlam or something like that, so that at least, one, you accomplish a few things. One, like I said, you keep Randy away from the title. You involve him in a new feud, new rivalry with somebody else. You build a different opponent, a different rivalry to go, different opponent, different star to go after Jinder. And then you have them try to get the belt, and then finally at SummerSlam you have them achieve it. To me, it's storytelling 101 in a sense. If one character doesn't cut it, you go with someone that does. Comic books have done this. Multimedia outlets have done this with any kind of show or movie. If one hero they feel is not going to cut it and fans are not going to get behind, you do something to make it more intriguing, more interesting, and this you put someone else in the category that you feel is going to cut it, is going to achieve. And to me, it's just logical that that person could either be AJ or Sammy. And to me, the best way you can make that happen is for WWE to put the belt on Jinder Mahal. Again, I know a lot of people like you, Jason, don't feel like that's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen. I think Jinder Mahal has the opportunity right in front of him. I think WWE has the opportunity right in front of them. And again, like I said, I'm sorry if I rambled a lot and kind of got distracted. But basically, you got to look at the scenario, how things have aligned. It's SmackDown, it's brand extension, it's SmackDown. You have somebody that's just come out of nowhere after either being lost without direction or just being told to job out all the time. Now suddenly becoming the number one contender for a championship, building himself a faction, a la what JBL did 13 years ago. The pieces are all there. So what better way to strike when the fire's hot than now? And especially if you're going to start doing things like they did this past Tuesday on SmackDown with Jinder and his Singh brothers, the Bollywood boys, what better way to do it than now? The fire is hot, go with it. Now I know you might think, well, politically Randy will probably pull something out of his, try to pull some kind of political stunt to not drop the belt. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I look at the fact that I believe Randy Orton is going to drop the belt at Backlash. Makes sense. Thus you go from May, June, July into August. Thus you have literally, when you think about it, almost 3 months to build to someone like a Styles or a Zayn or even a Nakamura challenging for the championship. And it makes sense. The storyline is built in there itself. It makes sense. So, to me, in response to you, Jason, I truly believe WWE is going to put the belt on Jinder. If I'm wrong, like I say, I won't be the first time, and I'm not going to be ashamed of that. But I truly believe that right now the timing is perfect. You want to put a lot of interest on your product. You want to show that SmackDown probably could be the more better, interesting show, and could be the potential real flagship show. Like you want to prove, like I was saying, you want to prove that SmackDown is the more intriguing, interesting, and could potentially be the new flagship show of WWE. Then you go in this direction. You prove that it's everything Shane McMahon said it is. Land of opportunity. It's different. It gives other people opportunities to do things you wouldn't think they'd be able to do. This, to me, would work. Now, you might say, well, if they make him champion, it could become a public relations nightmare because he looks like he's all roided up and everything. Yeah, you could potentially be right there, but I don't think that's really going to matter because that's not really going to matter because if they do what I feel they're going to do, and they go with him becoming champion, and at least try to, as some people would say, protect for a while, at least for the next few months, that will help in the end, and then you could do whatever you want with him afterwards. So to me, I think WWE is going to put the belt on him at Backlash. I think they're going to run with this. Thus, like I said, you get Randy put into another storyline, maybe with Owens over the U.S. title, a title that Randy's never held. You keep him away from it. And to me, it'll be a win-win for everybody in the end, especially for whoever SmackDown, WWE and the SmackDown booking creative team decides this is the person we're going to have go over Jinder at SummerSlam. It works. So that's all I'm going to really say on it. Let me know what you think. And Jason Solomon, if you're watching, please respond. But let me know what you think, guys, down below. I apologize for being a little distracted, a little rambly, but let me know what you think, and I'll talk to y'all later.